Well, viewers, well, someone on YouTube requested that I do a review of James 2, so I went and watched the episode again, and yeah, actually, on second thought, I do have enough to say about this to make a review. So, yes. So, there's actually kind of a lot in this one episode, even though a lot of people are saying it's a breather because it's not heavy and dramatic like the last 40 episodes were. It was only like 7, but it feels like 40. Anyway, so, yeah, a lot of people are saying this is a breather episode, and I don't really think it is. I'm not sure Adventure Time is really story-oriented enough to have breather episodes. I mean, filler. It is a breather. They've been calling it a filler episode. It's like, is there such thing as Adventure Time filler? Because, like, every episode is, kind of self-contained-ish. I mean, even ongoing arcs tend to be, like, episodic. But, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this episode. First thing I want to talk about is, well, the title, the namesake, James 2, The Quickening. Actually, all the Jameses. And what I wanted to mention was the difference between all these Jameses and the original James, James 1. Now, of course, in this episode, there's an obvious, actual difference. James 1 is all goo monster. I want to say zombie, but I don't think they're zombies. They aren't referred to as zombies in show. They're goo monsters. It's like a virus or something. So, James 1 is actually physically and mentally different from the others, obviously, but even pre-transformation, he seems to be a different person than James 2 through 26. And I saw on Tumblr a few people have been speculating that maybe that's because James 2's first experience upon his creation was getting a medal and also a coin, like a lucky coin. So maybe that gave him a sense of entitlement, which is why he keeps wanting clones and getting new medals for not actually doing anything, because James 1 actually was a hero. James 2 wasn't initially. He didn't become a hero until the end of the episode. So, from his perspective, he was just born, didn't do anything, and yet got applauded and cheered and got medals. So he figured, if I could just make it seem like I was dead 25 times, I could get 24 more medals, which is a crazy train of thought. But that's one of the things I love most about Adventure Time, is that it just has crazy trains of thought that just start at point A and then get to point Omega somehow, which is great. None of the other Jameses seem to get focused other than 2 and 1, except for that one that was answering the Banana Guard's questions. So it seems like 2 through 26 all have the same personality, but I don't know. We didn't really see enough of the others to confirm that for sure. They all have, his quirks and, making robot-y noises and stuff and, the weird way they run. But the 2 Lemongrabs had the same quirks, too, and they obviously ended up being very different people. So, yes, which actually brings me to my next point. I noticed, maybe it's just because I myself am a huge Lemongrab fan, but I noticed a lot of parallels to the Lemongrab arc and to this particular episode. I don't know what that means. If anything, it might not be anything. It might just be a coincidence, or it might just be, the writers just like these ideas and keep exploring them. But, yeah, it seems like the Lemongrab episode, except lighter and softer and condensed into one episode. Sorry, Lemongrab arc, not episode. There isn't one. Okay, first of all, James 2's first reason for faking his death and getting more Jameses is loneliness. It's like, I needed a friend who would get me, which is the mindset Princess Bubblegum had when she made Lemongrab 2, right? Of course, the medals are a bonus, but that wasn't the first thing he said, though. And he seemed pretty genuine. I mean, James 2 doesn't seem to be totally honest, but it seemed genuine to me. And honestly, it occurred to me while watching the episode, couldn't James 2 just ask for a clone? But now that I think about it some more, it's maybe Bubblegum learned her lesson on that one. Be like, hey, could you make another of me? Should have been no, just one. So there's that. Second thing is, at the end of the episode, when they all dogpile the original James, they all fuse together into one being, which is like with the 2 Lemongrabs. In that case, though, against their will, being sewed together into one being. But the interesting thing is, when all the Jameses fused together, they were each individuals, and with Lemongrabs, will they both still be individuals too, even though they're literally in each other's skin? Horrifying thought. I love it so much. Anyway, but yeah, that's just a weird thing to be wary for. It's like, is that foreshadowing or what? I think also another reason for it is like having a group of James is funny in case they want to bring the James character back again, but having 25 characters who are basically the same is probably a pain to storyboard, so clump them all together so you could like have them on one location. It's a little easier to board and keep track of with the animation and stuff. Oh, another comparison to Lemongrab arc is actually not about Lemongrab, but Lemon Hope. At the end of the episode, the Jameses save Princess Bubblegum from James 1 for a pretty selfish reason. I mean, their motivation was, she says we're not a hero, let's prove her wrong. Not the princess is in danger, we have to save her. It was, come on, we'll show her. She'll be so sorry, she said that to us. You know, it kind of reminds me of like in Tom Sawyer where he fantasizes about his own death. Like, so it's like, they'll be sorry that they ever were mean to me if I was dead, and he expresses a desire to die temporarily. I sort of saw it as like a selfish thing like that. And people doing heroic things for not ideal motives is nothing new in Adventure Time. Like, even before Lemon Hope, we had Finn, who was like, I think it was in Rattleballs, where he wanted to protect Princess Bubblegum extra hard to get his mind off his breakup or whatever. And like when he wanted to help Flame Princess with the hopes of getting back with her, it's like, you know, it's kind of a new thing. I personally don't think the motivation matters behind a heroic act as long as you actually act heroically. Like, who cares if it's for a selfish reason if you still save the day? Except in Finn's case, he didn't really save the day. James and Lemon Hope did, but Finn, in the cases I can think of where he was acting selfishly, not so much. So yeah, but the ends are what matters. The means matter too, but like intentions aren't part of the means. Anyway, so yeah, some weird parallels. It's almost like the Lemongrab story, except flipped a little bit, and like I said, made lighter and softer. What else? Oh, the comedy in this episode is really good. We actually haven't had like a really uproariously funny Adventure Time episode in a while. The last one I can think of is Love Games, which was fantastic. But this one is great too. And I especially like Finn, Jake, and Princess Bubblegum just watching the hilarity. It's like, a lot of times we all know that feeling where we just want to set up a situation and just wait and see what the payoff is. And one of my favorite bits, I left a lot in the reaction video, you probably remember, one of my favorite bits is when like Finn and Jake are waiting outside on the bench for Princess Bubblegum to go in, and they've probably been waiting there for hours, but like when she finally walks in, they're all thrilled, and they're like, and like as soon as she walks in, this one James on like the top window, like the very instant she goes, hey, this one guy vaults out of the window, almost as if he was thrown. It's like, jeez. I just thought it was really funny. It's like, Jesus! Like a cannon or something. And like the bit with all the banana guards and all the Jameses. And like that whole dialogue between them when they're Princess Bubblegum and the banana guards, where they can't really seem to grasp the concept of clones, even though they all look the same, which raises the question, are all the banana guards related? Or is it like a Nurse Joy scenario where they like every male in their family becomes a banana guard? I don't know. I really don't. But, yeah. For some people who are wondering where Root Beer Guy was during this episode, there is a piece of promo art that shows him and his wife on vacation at a beach somewhere. So, that's where they were. It doesn't really have anything to do with what I was talking about. I just wanted to bring it up. That's where they were. They seem to be having a nice time. Which is a shame, because I would have liked to see Root Beer Guy again. I just want an episode, like, I know there's a comic with him, but I want like, just an episode that's just him trying to lead the banana guards and getting exasperated with them and stuff. It'd be really, really funny. So, yes. Some of the artwork on this episode is kind of impressive. I mean, there's nothing, like, fantastic like the last episode, but one shot I really like is where Princess Bubblegum is talking to the banana guards, and you could see Finn and Jake, like, way up in the background. And, like, you could really get a good shot of, like, the wall around the Candy Kingdom and, like, the houses and Finn and Jake on top and the princess down here. And it's just a nice shot, especially because you can see them snickering when she's trying the very difficult process of talking to the banana guards. So I just like shots like that aren't just like, the fixed side scroller thing that like Fairly Odd Parents or SpongeBob are sometimes stuck on. Like Adventure Time gets a little more dynamic with its angles. And another good shot I just thought of was the one, like I said, where the James jumps out the window and like Finn and Jake are in the foreground and like all the funny stuff is happening way in the background, but Finn and Jake's reactions are in the foreground. It's great juxtaposition. I like it. And I like that I got to say the word juxtaposition on this video. Another thing I want to talk about was Princess Bubblegum, who is always a great source of analysis. As you recall, way back in James 1 last season, it was her idea to remake the original James. And but in this episode, she puts her foot down and says, "Okay, I'm done. I'm kind of sick of him. I can't reward this reckless behavior." And like at the end of the episode, when it turns out they're all fine, she banishes them in the desert for kind of an arbitrary reason. It's like, "Thank you for saving the day. Here are the medals. Now get out." And I think the thing is, Princess Bubblegum has like this kind of pragmatic thing going on. Like James 1 died a hero. And she says the only reason she made James 1 sacrifice himself instead of Finn was because she can't bring back Finn. Like, if she could bring back... I, like, wondered that way back, like, months ago. Like, if you could bring back Finn, would you have let him die? Would you? Would you? Like, we don't know, actually. That's kind of a chilling thought. But, yeah, James 1 died a hero, so there was value in bringing him back. And, like, each time it seemed he was being heroic, she brought him back over and over and over. But on the 25th time, or 26th, I don't know, numbers, when it seems like he died for no reason, she's just like, that's it. So, if you die a hero, you're coming back. If you die due to a stupid mistake, sorry. So, yes. So there's that. Like, it seemed like maybe she was... See, what I kind of hypothesized on Tumblr was that Princess Bubblegum had a problem with death. Like, losing anybody was kind of hard for her. And I think it's still a bit of that, but also I think there's a limit to which she'll care. Like, if you get pushed too far, she's just like, screw it. Which is kind of funny. Another thing I thought was really funny was, like, where she walks in the apartment. I keep coming back to this scene, but it's such a great scene. When she walks in the apartment and sees all the Jameses, the thing she shouts to them as they're running away is, "You guys are in so much trouble!" Which I thought was interesting, because it's another, like, Princess Bubblegum is everybody's mom thing. Like, she said in the vault, like, "The candy people are like my children." So, except, like, the Jameses kind of literally are her children, since she created all of them. I don't know if she created all the candy people. That's still not entirely clear, but she definitely created all of these Jameses. So she's sort of their mom, which makes it weird that she sent them away arbitrarily. Again, parallel to the Lemongrab thing. And of course, a lot of people were wondering what the reaction would be to Finn's arm, or lack of arm. Honestly, the proper, like, big focus on the missing arm thing will probably come in next week's episode, The Tower, which I'm looking forward to. Like, that'll probably deal with themes of grief and denial and getting cool arms. If you don't know what the synopsis for The Tower is, it's Finn tries to build a tower in outer space to reach his dad. The reason he gives is that he wants his arm back, but I don't know, I'm speculating that this is more about his dad than his arm. But I do like the fact that his arm is just gone, and nobody throughout the entire episode makes one comment about it, which is kind of nice. You know, some people just don't like being pitied. They don't like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about your arm. Are you okay, Finn?" You know, like, it was nice at the moment, but, like, afterward, Finn seems like, you know, he's real big on suppressing things. I think he'd be the kind of guy who just, like, want to carry on as normal. And he kind of does, like, when he's bapping Jake on the arm with the stub, or he manages to clap with only one arm, or any of that stuff. And, yeah, nobody mentions it, and it's kind of nice, you know. I don't think disabled people don't want to be thought of as disabled, or to constantly be pitied or reminded or whatever. You know, they just kind of want to hang out and go about whatever normally. So, yeah. So, it's probably not it probably is a bigger deal than Finn's letting on, but, he doesn't want other people to treat it like a big deal. It's kind of a weird coping thing, I guess. I actually have a little bit more to say about James, too, particularly James as a zombie is one of the saddest things ever, and I'm kind of wondering why more people aren't dwelling like this, because, even as, I keep saying zombie, they're goo monsters. Even as a goo monster, he still retains his James traits. He recognized Princess Bubblegum, and he said, princess, when he saw her. It's why did he go back to the Candy Kingdom? Was he going after her? Does he even know why? Because he volunteered. Did he not know that he'd get turned into a goop monster? When she was explaining it to him, we didn't hear exactly what she said in the first James episode, but we do hear her say, so what do you say? And he says, sure thing, princess, and he gives her a piece of himself to clone, and then he runs off. What a guy. But, yeah, so, was him turning a goo monster not something anticipated? Did he want revenge? Or was he, just purely instinctive? There's this novel I really like called The Passage. Stay with me, this actually is relevant. About these things called virals, which are it's sort of like the goo monster, you get bit and you turn into a viral and you go bite other people, blah, blah, blah. People who turn into virals, there's this knowledge that survivors have is that they always go home. Kind of like criminal always returns to the scene of the crime thing, except not really. So once you're bitten, you'll go back to your house or your hometown or whatever. So maybe it's like that. James just wanted to go home. I don't know. That's depressing. And even more depressing, pointing this out, is he's still doing the robot noises, even though he's a goo monster and he seems to be in pain. And I don't know, just that image of this cheerful guy with the voice of Brock, and he gives Jake his lucky, I don't know if it was a quarter or a dime. I like to think it was a dime, because then that might count as a DuckTales reference, which is nice. But yeah, he's this generous, happy guy, and he unscrews it with the dime, and he's like, yeah, everybody, I'm gonna make a shot, And you just see him at the end of the episode with those eye sockets empty and the goo coming out. He seems like he's in agony. It's Jesus Christ. I don't know if he's fine now, though, because when they all merge together, I didn't see any green or mutation in there anyway. What I think happened is normally if you jam a whole bunch of candy people together, I don't think they'll fuse. So I think maybe they fused because of the radiation or whatever in Goo James. So instead of turning them into zombies, it mutated them into this horrible, I forgot what it's called when twins are fused together or whatever. It's not Siamese. It's when they're actually sort of one organism, except it's really scary. This weird budding thing, I guess, when they're all jutting out, which is both nightmarish and kind of okay. Kids can handle it because they're okay, which, the Don Bluth, kernel of wisdom, kids can handle anything if there's a happy ending. Which may not be true, but seems pretty sound. So yeah, I think the mutation that turned James into a goo monster also made it so they're all fused together into that one lurching abomination. Also, about the goo monsters, we used to think that they were humans that were turned, but I'm not sure that's entirely true, because when James was turned, he retained his Jamesy shape. He still looked like an ice cream sandwich, except one that you would never in a lifetime eat. The others don't look like people, which is puzzling because in the Simon and Marcy episode, which had to be fairly recently after the apocalypse, the goo monsters seem to be in locations where you'd expect humans to be. Two of them are sitting in the seats in the Clambulance, and they're in the soup store and stuff like that. So if they're not humans, and they might be, then what are they? And are we going to get an answer to this? They seem kind of easily defeated, though, which some people found disappointing. I'm not sure. I think maybe it was a little disappointing. I don't know. But, they've put up with zombie invasions before, and these things aren't really zombies, and maybe this will come back, or, maybe we'll see more Goobros at some point. I do like that word, Goobros, at some point, but I really don't know. Adventure Time has kind of a bad habit of, bringing up a plot point, and then just, they don't really know what to do with it, so it just kind of peters out later. like when they turned Bubblegum 13 and then immediately grew her back in the next episode. Like, we don't actually know what we're doing. Let's just... Like, a lot of people think that Adventure Time is going somewhere, that there's an end game, that there's a plan, that this is all building up to something. There is no end game, all right? And there is no plan. They're just doing whatever the hell they want, which is great, because it's what's allowed Adventure Time a lot of its creativity, but it's also bad because a lot of times we're expecting some sort of big build-up or payoff, and we don't always get it. And I don't want to accuse them of anything. I don't want to say it's because of incompetence, because you don't make one of the most successful cartoon shows of our generation with also being incompetent. That doesn't happen. So it's probably just their choice. It's like, you think we're big, epic poem or whatever, but we're not. We're just doing whatever we want, and it's great. And I agree it's great, and you agree it's great, and everyone thinks it's great. But yeah, so like sometimes things seem like they're building up something, and they don't. And it's fine, because, it's our fault for thinking that Adventure Time is that kind of show. It isn't always. It isn't always really anything. We aim to defy your expectations. So, yeah, on the second viewing, I really liked this episode more than I did on the first viewing. Good comedy. Some good questions that were raised. Hopefully we'll see the Jameses again. It's really likely, like every time you think you're done with the character, they come back. Like the friggin' banana guy from Jake's Croak Dream episode came back, and I don't think any of us expect to see him again. So, we'll probably see Jameses again. I don't know if anytime soon, though, but I'm really looking forward to the tower next week, and yes, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, if you have any comments or questions or things that you feel like I want to address, put them in the comments below, and we can have a nice discourse, which is always great. So it's Dragonkeeper 96600, signing off.